Hello and welcome to another setup session video. This time I chose Monza, one of the most used tracks online multiplayer in ACC so far. It's very popular.
Green light. Go, go, go.
So I thought, why not go ahead and try a new car on this track. I've never driven the Ferrari really anywhere, so this is a new territory. Let's check it out. Starting on the standard aggressive preset as always. Immediately noticing that the brake bias is way too far to the front. Very hard to rotate the car on the brakes, and a lot of ABS kicking in when I brake a bit harder. The apex rotation seems very good, a lot of grip, not too much understeer, but as usual the high speed understeer will be a negative, I think, in the aggressive preset, as well as some entry understeer here. Since we have a mid-engine car, I expect similar handling characteristics than what I get in the Audi, so we have to be careful with snap oversteer on entry when trail braking, and yeah, overall balance seems very much okay. Oh, front brake disc overheating right there. You can hear the noise coming from the brakes. My overall brake bias is at 60 in the aggressive preset. That is, in my opinion, way too far to the front. We can try 56 for now. Very good corner exit traction. Not a lot of traction control kicking in. It feels very safe so far. I don't know what the wing setting is, so how much downforce we are generating. If this is 0, then this is very stable. You can take curbs as well. It doesn't hate curbs like the Lamborghini, for example. So you have to be careful, but it's not too big of a deal. We need to work on the brake performance as well. Usually you can definitely brake after the 100 board before the last turn, and here I struggle to slow the car down because of ABS locking. Tire pressures as always too low. Let's try 55 for this turn here. The apex rotation is very good even after the tire temperatures came up. So not noticing any understeer or oversteer. That means that we don't really have to touch the anti-roll bars for now. Oh yeah, you can take all the curb on the inside. This one you don't really want to hit. So I'm gonna go back to the pits and adjust tire pressures and see if we can make the braking any better. So I just adjusted pressures from looking at these values, and then next time out I'll make the final adjustment. I'm seeing that we run a lot of caster compared to other cars, which I like, because then I get the steering feel to be a bit heavier going through turns. Usually in the mid-engine cars I run more camber in the rear, but for now the stability was very great. ABS was interfering quite a lot, so we turned that down. Then you'll notice that we have two traction control settings here. Although I've tried to read up about the two algorithms behind them, I'm not completely sure about what they do. If you know, maybe you can tell me in the comments. I'll have to find out on my own, what it does. I'll just leave them for now because I didn't feel any traction control interfering at all. Halfway on the fuel tank to get a good balance between, you know, race setup and quali setup. First thing I noticed that we have by default a very stiff front and a very soft rear. Looking at the values, quite a big difference between front and rear, and also a big or high number on the preload, which is nice. I really felt that stability, so I'm not going to touch it. I was going to put it on a similar value, so it's nice that it's already here. We have a lot of anti-roll settings. I don't know how realistic this is, having 50 different steps. Usually the way the anti-roll bar is built in real life is that you can maybe adjust 10 settings on one, and then you have to switch out the anti-roll bar itself to a softer version. But yeah, having 50 clicks is a ton of adjustment range. Yeah, same in the rear. That is crazy. Yeah, so we're running negative rake already, so -2, but the rear wing was still on 2. I'm gonna put that on, so we go from 2 to 3%. That's quite a big step, so I'll leave it on 1 for now, and maybe adjust the ride height a bit. Even though it looks weird, I'm having a negative rake. You can definitely do this without running into other issues, especially on Monza. Brake ducts, I need to open them a bit. The brakes were getting very hot. In terms of overall tire temperature, the front looked alright. Same goes for the rear, so I'll leave it at that for now. Yeah, we have a high bump setting in the front. You could really feel the stability going into the turn. Brake bias, I'll go to 55 just to check out if it works the same way as in the Audi. Bump stop range is on 1. We could lower it to 0 if the aero changes are too severe and we get too much dip. So we adjusted tire pressures, adjusted ABS and fuel, adjusted brake bias and the aero settings, as well as the brake ducts and the rake. That's it for now. I'll go out and see how it feels. As always, on your first out lap, first you want to warm up your brakes so they can heat up the rim from the inside, so you don't have to worry as much about getting your tires up to temperature quickly. So my first flying lap now. Now I can focus on feeling any differences to the run before, since tire pressures are somewhat there. Yep, we improved the braking. Not overshooting it as much as before. Good traction coming out of the turn. Traction control seems to do a good job there. I still like to have a bit better braking, but that could be due to the track not having optimal grip or the temperature on the tires and brakes itself. You can abuse a lot of the inside curb in Ascari. After the new time model has been introduced, you can really use all the inside and make the car stick. Even though it looks like the curb is too big, you can really use it. Because of the corner entry stability, I'm gonna try to lower the brake bias for better braking. Although I don't know how fast I'm actually going through Lesmo 1 and 2, the overall feel is very good. No weird balance issues or under or oversteer on entry or exit. Now the only thing that has to work out is the lap time, really. Top speed right there was about 272. I'll try to lower the wing to 1 and see if we can increase anything there. If not, then it's totally fine to not run 0 wing. Although it's Monza, if you get the stability and don't benefit from any major top speed increase, then yeah, why 1-0ing? So doing the first couple laps, the Ferrari seems like to be a very easy car to drive, or a very easy car to get used to. As always, once you really try to get the last couple of tenths out of the lap time, then every car becomes difficult to drive at some point. But for now, just driving around without much adjustments, it's very planted, very easy to get the power down. And the only thing I would like to improve now is braking and performance. I entered the last corner a bit too hot, but still very easy to throw the car in and then make it stick with the perfect balance between front and rear axle. And looking at the delta time, immediately low 148s are possible, which brings me close to 47, where you really want to be for qualifying times. Tire pressures look alright. The traction control is really doing a very good job on this car. In Audi, I'm always struggling when using first gear there, and you don't want to hit the outside curb, but here there's no issue. I'm really trying out to throw the car in too much and too fast, provoke some oversteer on entry and on apex, to see where the balance will go once you push the car very hard. But it's very interesting to see how stable it still is. I had a lot more issues in the Audi and I needed a lot more adjustments on the setup. I'll try to shift the brake balance even further back, because I have no issues trail braking into the corners, and we don't have to do it as much in Monza anyway, so we can maybe get away with it. As I mentioned, the overall balance is very nice, very easy to drive, but I think in terms of lap times and overall improvements on the speeds, we need to make the car a bit more difficult to drive, in the sense that we need more front end grip. Right now the setup is not allowing any more speed going through, let's say, lesson 1 and 2. And if we want to extract more speed on apex, we need the front to grip more, and that may result in a bit more oversteer generally in the car. But that's where the lap times will come from. And thinking about the huge amount of ARB settings, I think we can go ahead and adjust those to get a bit better apex speed out of the car. So I'll go ahead and figure out how to do it. First tire pressures, they seemed alright. We can increase them a tiny bit. The front brakes looked very cold again, so I'll close it down. Because of the braking performance, I would like to decrease front camber and maybe increase caster there for a bit. By decreasing the front camber, your tire surface patch touching the ground, the actual surface is increasing. When you brake, you want as much of the tire to hit the ground as possible, so decreasing camber can help improve the braking. Traction control seemed alright. I moved the braking at the end all the way to 53, but I think the middle ground between 54 and 53 will work, since we're going to make the car less understeery on apex. Traction out of the low turns felt very good, so I don't want to increase anti-roll bar too much. So adjusting the front anti-roll bar I think will be the key here. Let's drop that down to 20, lowering the number by 10 clicks. I have no idea how much this will affect my driving, so because it's the first time in this car. Adjusting the value by a random number really to see what it will do. Damping I'm not going to touch. And then I wanted to try out zeroing. We're jumping from 2.2 to 2.6, so we need a bit of adjustments to not make the overall changed to severe. And that's it for now. We adjusted pressures a bit, aero a bit. First try on the anti-roll bar settings. Yeah, that's it. Going out again. Let's see how the braking is into turn 1. All the tire pressures are not completely there yet. I'll just try to go for it. Just working about at the 150 board. With optimal grip and conditions, you can definitely brake even later. But it seemed alright so far. Next time around I'll take a look at the high speed, at the top speed. I felt a slight push of understeer just after the apex, which could come from increasing the rear ARB setting. I'll try to keep an eye on that and then maybe lower the setting from 3 to, let's say, 2 again. But stability is still there. It's still very easy to drive. We didn't break anything in that sense. Now we just need the speed going through the turns. I still feel like pushing the car doesn't really give you the reward yet. I hit 274 this time around on the straight, which means a gain of 2 kph on the straight, which really isn't much, but because I didn't lose any aero stability, I can definitely keep it at 0. Yeah, still a bit too much understeer. That was too much curb. I didn't hear the car bottoming out, going over the big curb there, so ride height seems to be spot on. Okay, I'm gonna try for hot lap to see where the lap time is in terms of performance for now. Low 48 was a bit of a mistake in turn 2, or the second chicane. So with a perfect lap I might be able to hit the low 48, maybe 48.1 or 48.0. But I still feel like pushing the car is really not giving you all the performance yet. I have almost no feedback from my front axle going through Lesmo 1 and 2, mainly because of too much understeer. Looking at the tire wear, we don't see anything significant here. Mechanical grip wise, I'm going to decrease anti-roll bar in the rear because of that rear oversteer behavior and understeer behavior I had on exit the first couple of laps. Although that did settle a bit, I feel like we don't need any more anti-roll bar in the rear. In the front, I'll play with a little bit less again to see if it helps that mid-corner understeer. And we could also decrease the bump a bit to work towards the same goal of decreasing the mid-corner understeer. Aero balance felt very good, although the mid-section of Ascari, the right-hand turn, is still a big lift in this car, whereas in other cars you can really get a lot more speed coming through that right-hand section using the inside curb. I'll try to bring up the rear a bit so we get a bit more oversteer. Yeah, there we go. Just one click, minor adjustment. Brake bias seemed alright. Tire pressures are good, temperatures are good. The Ferrari is known to be a car that is very light on tire wear and therefore relatively easy on tire temperatures. In conditions like this and hot conditions in general, it's therefore a benefit. You can really run the car with normal camber settings and driving style at high temperatures without having to worry about the tire heating up too much. But when it's low temperatures, let's say like 15 degrees, then yeah, you could really struggle to get temperatures into the tire at all and therefore lose performance when it's too cold. So yeah, tire pressure is alright, mechanical grip adjustment with a bit of anti-roll bar. Damping looks good so far. Tried out one click on the front. Going for the next run. First flying lap, definitely feeling a difference in terms of front ARB setting. Let's see how it'll work out when when we push a bit harder. Yep, finally able to get the rear rotation on apex. Maybe the setting change was a bit too severe. Going through lesson 1 this time around with the same approach as before really made the rear rotate too much. But we'll see if I can adjust my driving, or if I have to, yeah, really dial the setup change back a bit. I like the way the changes of the setup is affecting the handling and the balance, but I think changing the front ARB -5 was a bit too much. So yeah, I'll try out maybe 2 or 3 clicks more again. The balance is still good and not too bad, but you lose a bit of confidence in the car and you cannot really push it as much again. Where, as I talked before, the tire wear is very easy on this car, which means getting performance out of the tire, you really need to push the car. And yeah, you cannot really do that when your rear is moving around too much. So even though I only did like 1 flying lap so far, I can immediately tell that the change was too much. So I'm gonna go back and adjust it by, let's say, 3 clicks back. I'm gonna keep the damper because I want the mid-corner balance not to change too much. Usually when talking about or driving mid-engine cars, I have to get rid of turn-in oversteer. Therefore I adjust the rebound setting a bit. But in this case, I feel like the turn-in understeer makes the car, yeah, move through the corner just not fast enough. Looking at the run from before, where I only had understeer on apex, I feel like a bit more rotation on entry can help me set up the exit a bit better. And since we dialed back the anti-orbit setting to a bit harder settings now, I think we can get away with a bit less rebound. Aero seems alright. I'm still not 100% happy with my braking performance. Maybe we can even decrease camber settings 1 more. I'm gonna go out again and see if we can improve braking. And if we get our stability in corner entry and corner mid-corner stability back. Balance is definitely better in terms of late apex oversteer. Adjusting the ARB again definitely helped. And even though the car is now a bit more willing to go through the corner quicker, I still feel like I need to work on that. A lot of trail braking is possible, a lot of stability on entry. And I think that if I get used to the car rotation now, I can definitely improve on my lap time. I just got a lot of unexpected apex oversteer rotation. The ABS didn't lock up yet, and the rear suddenly dipped down in the front because of the excessive trail braking, and then the rear just rotated. Something I either need to work on or get used to. The missing grip on exit could come from the poor track condition. Overall balance is very good, and I think that with less fuel and better grip you can decrease the lap time by quite a bit. Yeah, I really don't know if I'm gonna be able to drive the car any quicker in these conditions. Just yeah, learning whether grip is and how much you can push it is at first seems easy, but you hit a wall pretty quickly in this car, and I think that the feeling you get when driving on the edge is very different to, let's say, the Audi that I'm used to. In the Audi you always feel like you're going too slow and you feel like you're holding the car back, so you yeah, so you don't crash because it's not stable enough. But here it's the opposite. I feel like I want the car to do a lot more, but the car is just not able to do it. And now you really have to yeah, get optimal track conditions in and see where the lap times end up being. You definitely don't want to enter the corner too quickly, because then the front just washes out and you cannot really catch it back in. Tire pressures are rising as well. Might be due to the temperature rising a bit, but also because now I'm able to push a lot more and just use a bit more of the tire than before. Something I'm noticing is because of yeah, the corner entry and corner apex understeer, I think I want to trail brake even more. Also due to the fact that the overall braking is not really where I want the braking to be. So braking at the same braking distance as with the Audi, for example, I need to trail brake a lot more in this car. And therefore I think I'm gonna close the rebound again to help with the stability when trail braking, and then make the car rotate because of the brake bias itself. Another thing I'd like to try out to get a bit more precision when, yeah, on the corner apex is adjusting the wheel rates. I want to try to increase it even more to get more precision from the front. But in order to make the car rotate enough, I need to increase the rear again. So just one click on the wheel rates, make it a bit stiffer, and see if I can make the tire work more. Generally, when you increase your wheel rates, you give more percentage of work in terms of overall suspension work to the tire, because now the spring is takes more force to move the spring. The tire has to do more. Yeah, therefore you increase your loads on tire loads and tire temperatures, and this can be a bad thing when you want to preserve your tire, but in the Ferrari, as I told you, you really want to get the tire to work properly. So I'm just gonna go ahead and see if that helps. Yeah, I'm not gonna touch anything else for now, so that I can really feel the difference between the wheel rates. I'm gonna go back out and see what it does. Going through Ascari for the first time after the spring rate change, I feel like I have a lot more precision and stability overall. The car reacts to my inputs a lot quicker and gives the feeling of more precise handling overall. I have to see if the lap times now work as well, but overall I'm very happy with the change. I'm not feeling a big change in Lesmo 1 and 2. The surface of the asphalt is very flat, so any bumps don't really unsettle the car. But I think that through here, the direction change from left to right, which happened pretty sudden, really can give the impression that the car is not doing what you want fast enough when your wheel rate is too low. I am afraid that I've lost a bit of braking performance, which is normal when increasing the front wheel rates. As I said, I now give more work to the tire in terms of suspension work, and under braking the tire is just not able to cope with all of the work it gets now because of the stiffer spring. So if the braking gets too bad, then I have to install the softer spring again. Overall, I think the more precision and the more precise handling is definitely helping the confidence I have in the car. And finally, I'm thinking, okay, yeah, now I'm hitting the limit. And now the car is where it really can give me all the grip. The braking might suffer a bit from the stiffer spring, but I think it's overall still an improvement. I think I'm gonna keep it there. We changed quite a bit on the car for now. We touched camber settings to increase braking performance. We touched anti-roll bars for mid-corner understeer. We touched the wheel rates for more precise feeling, especially when changing the direction very sudden. We changed a bit of the damping, front bump and rear rebound for the turn-in stability, and then yeah, we lowered the rear wing all the way to 0, adjusted the ride heights for overall aero balance. Yeah, that's why I ended up. Mid 47s are definitely possible. I'm not sure how much quicker the car's gonna get. It's not the best car for Monza because of top speed. If you want to just, have a stable car to race against people that are not doing alien type of lap times, then yeah, the Ferrari is definitely a good choice. I think it's very beginner friendly in the sense that just getting in and driving is very easy, but then extracting the lap times out of it, as you can see, you really need to start touching pretty much everything on the setup side. I hope you learned a bit about how I run my setup and how to drive Monza. If you have any suggestions on what you want to see next in terms of setup video, let me know in the comments, and I'll hope to see you guys on track.